This will be one of the most important issues for years to come. What do you consider your educational or experience background to enable you to contribute to this discussion? Jerry from Cooper City.
Thank you, Jerry.
Jerry's got 2 questions. Okay, 2 minutes. Ms. Harrington.
As a small business owner my entire life, I've been working in the restaurant for 30 years. I have the experience of being able to balance a budget, make payroll, and be fiscally responsible. Something that our elected officials in Washington apparently don't know how to do. We have a debt crisis ahead of us that the next generation, my children and grandchildren, will have to pay for by irresponsible growth of government and out-of-control reach into the private sector. So my experience in life is that I've been fiscally responsible both personally and professionally. And I could teach them a thing or two in Washington about how to spend the money that they have and not creating bigger government and more ways in which to tax us and to grow. As a business, we cannot grow our company unless we have the money to do it. That wouldn't be fiscally responsible. We have survived 7 recessions, and it comes from the knowledge and the hard work in the private sector that has taught us how to do that. And that is how we have to teach our government to live within their means. This is the greatest nation in the world. We should not be facing tax increases at the end of this year. You know, the more money we keep, the more choices we have. The more choices we have, the more free we are. So as a nation, we have got to stop this out-of-control debt, freeze all discretionary spending for the next 3 years, and be more sensible about the choices we make. Like I said, in my business, we've been successful because we take a simple approach. It's not really hard to understand. You don't spend money you don't have.
Mr. Lowry, 1 minute.
I believe the question was, what background do I have that would best be utilized in Congress and the oversight of our great economy? For the past 31 years, I started with a degree in economics from, at that time, was the 3rd best business school in the country, the University of Delaware. Dartmouth was number 2, Harvard was number 4 at the time. I cut my teeth on tax income policy called TIP, which now you now know that as a fair tax. It's a consumption type of tax. I studied some of the best minds, and I worked in the financial arena for about 10 years after that, which was my love. I've also worked in real estate development, understanding what it's like to create jobs, thousands of jobs. And so I developed medical real estate throughout Florida, the closest project being right here on the Aventura Hospital campus, which is about 60,000 square feet. I understand what it's like to start a business from scratch. Assisted living, I started 12 years ago with 1 employee, me. I now have over 135. But most importantly, I also understand that it's more than owning a small business that makes a business. That was 15 seconds or time?
You can finish your sentence.
It takes more than owning a small business or working in a small business to understand this great economy. You have to have a global approach because we are the world's economy. I have that experience.
Ms. Milo, what would be one of the most important issues? What do you consider your educational or experience and background to enable you to contribute to the discussion over the financial crisis? 1 minute.
Well, I founded my own small business, a construction company, in 1982 when I became a licensed contractor. I still have that business today. I still work it today. And whenever we've had downs in the economy, we tighten our belt. I would bring the business principles, the same principles that many of you put into use every day. When you have a ruling elite that no longer represents us, they do what they want. What I would do is do what we all must do, and that is get out of the way of small business. What I would do is I would any bureaucracy that exists at the federal level that already exists at the state level, I would look to close those bureaucracies. They're unconstitutional, and they're creating unfunded mandates to us, to the states. Get rid of them. That will free up more money for the government to do the job it's supposed to do, and that's protect us. Number 2, I would propose moratoriums on small businesses, less than 500 employees, moratoriums on fees, any regulatory fees. I would propose fees to stimulate investment in the economy.
And that is for the first question. The second question. How can we control runaway entitlement costs without alienating the voters that count on those programs? Nick, Fort Lauderdale. This question goes to Mr. Lowry.
The end of the last sentence before the last sentence ending was that you have to understand money, credit, and the banking system, which is the lifeblood of any economy. You have to understand how money flows through the system, because that's what the government does to control our economy. That is what I've studied, that's what I've eaten, breathed. I understand that. And how that relates to our entitlements is simple. If you look at our global gross domestic product and our output each year, over 60% of our expenditures are for entitlement. It's what the Social Securities, the Medicare and Medicaid, which was back in 1966. How do you control those costs is what's broken and what they tried to fix with Obamacare but never addressed the problem, because Medicare is going to be bankrupt in 6 short years. What you need to do is look to private industry solutions, the free market. And how we do that is you have to do the painful thing. You either, to save Social Security, you either have to raise taxes and also raise the benefit age. Same with Medicare. However, if you would like another solution to that, and understanding that Social Security actually does more damage to us than good, and I see that on a daily basis simply because the elderly that come to live in my communities are living on their Social Security check, which is about $970 a month. How many of you can live on $970 a month? We were seduced into thinking that the government was saving for us. And when I spoke to a college not too long ago, one student says, well, if the government doesn't save for me, who will? That's the problem with an entitlement program. We have to teach our children self-reliance and self-respect and teach them how to save, how to depend on themselves to create the wealth that they need to survive. If we do that to our children every day, now we have to wean the government off of that system as well. What we do is we privatize it. We wean people off Social Security over a period of time. And if you're 35 or younger, maybe you want to opt out and take a present value of what you've already contributed. If you're 55 or over, maybe you want a hybrid. But give the market an opportunity. Give the American a choice. And I believe we'll make the right decision.
Ms. Milo, how can you control runaway entitlement costs without alienating the voters that count on those programs? Nick, Fort Lauderdale. 1 minute.
Well, I think that we must get a hold of our cost in those programs. If we don't get a hold of cost in those programs through tort reform, free market competition, we have to develop relationships with our healthcare professionals again. Most of the seniors no longer have a relationship with a physician. They have a relationship with a little card, and that card has a relationship with a physician. They no longer have contact with their doctors. We have to understand the difference between well care and health care. And we have to start, and Robert touched upon perhaps raising the retirement age, but there are many things. We can't answer that one in 1 minute, but we do have to get a hold of the cost first, and we can do that by being more involved in our care and getting the government out of our system. Time's up.
Ms. Harrington, 1 minute. How can we control runaway entitlement costs without alienating the voters that count on those programs?
First of all, you have to elect people to Congress that aren't afraid of offending the voters when it comes to getting our government under control. The first thing we have to do is go to Congress and repeal the health care bill and stop growing the current entitlements we have. Okay, we cannot expand Medicaid by taking from Medicare. Our seniors deserve better. They have paid into the system, they have been guaranteed Social Security, and Robert is correct in saying by the year 2016 we will actually be paying out more than we will be taking in. So we have to go there, and as your Congresswoman, I will address that issue strongly, because our seniors deserve better. And they claim that we're going to save money by finding the fraud in Medicare in order to expand the Medicaid. Do we honestly trust our government to keep their word? No! So let's go there. Let's not worry about alienating the voting. Let's get our cost under control.
Yeah.
The final question on the economy, jobs, and the national debt goes to Ms. Milo. It's going to be for 2 minutes. How do you feel about